Good evening.
Good evening. Frank Sorick, City of Wilkes Barre.
6 minutes to speak.
Some of the things that I've been speaking on, I'm going to continue again today in talking about the attempt by this government that we support and pay for to continue to limit the rights of the people of this great country. As Mr. Walsh just talked about our American flag being stored so disgracefully at the Department of Public Works. Now, I look to you and think just how our council treats the citizens of Wilkes Barre in the way they trample on our constitutional rights. You don't treat our Constitution any better than you treat our flag. At this point, I suggest a Declaration of Independence issued by this council declaring its independence from this great nation. At least that way we would understand why you're doing what you're doing. And I mean, at many council meetings, I've heard the city clerk talk about what can and can't be talked about at these council meetings, which again is utterly ridiculous. Citizens of this country have the right to express to their government anything that affects their life, liberty, or pursuit of happiness. And they're bringing that to you. If a citizen is taking time out of their busy schedule, taking time away from their family to come here, they feel it's important. You should listen to them, give them their 5 minutes to speak, regardless of the topic. I mean, I'm very discouraged by this council, by the people that I pay to sit here and order people out of order because they don't like the topic of discussion. They don't like that we bring up relative issues that are relative to us, that we feel that you're misusing your power, misusing your standing, anything, we're gobbled out of order. And I've also pointed out that you sit here and allow good, honest citizens to be trashed by other, sometimes contractors of the city, sometimes employees of the city. Anyone who takes to this podium and trashes me is allowed to go on uninterrupted. But if I bring up a city council member using his or her clout disrespectfully to our city, I'm gobbled out of order. How is that fair? I would like an answer to that question. How is that fair? Thank you.
Any care to address that?
Mr. Sorick, yeah, I'll be glad to answer some of your questions. First of all, we're not denying people a right to talk. Okay, we've done things that we think are more available to the people than before. We have the forms on the city website right now. You can fill one out now for 2 weeks from now. There's also been a change to the resolution that Mr. Ryan spoke about today. And I don't know if you heard what he read at the beginning of today's meeting, but the fact that additional people can speak on topics that are presented before council. And Mr. Ryan, maybe you went and read that again, but it gives people a right to do that, okay? If you're speaking on a subject, we're allowing people to continue speaking on that subject. So we're not trying to take away your rights, but we're trying to have some type of an order here, okay? But we do want to hear what you have to say. We'd love to hear everybody in this room talk about it, whatever the issue is. But please, allow us to, at least set the decorum and let us do this in a manner that we can respect you, and hopefully you'll return the respect. That's all I'm saying. And I'm just trying to address your question because I've always been very honest with you. I'm telling you the way I feel, okay? Just like the issue about videotaping, so same thing. So please understand that. At least that's my response to your questions.
I kind of agree with Mr. Sorick. I think we're stifling them by, if she wants to make a comment now, she can't. Well, today she can. Today she can. No, if she didn't sign up by 6 o'clock, she can't comment on what he just said. And I still say that's wrong.
Jim, would you mind reading the change?
Okay,
Hold on, can I video that, Jeff?
the addition that was presented by Councilman George to that ordinance, Councilman Brown, by that ordinance was additional comments from those in attendance concerning topics being presented before council may be allowed with the approval of the council chairman. So Councilman Brown has included an addition there where people may have the opportunity to comment after the fact.
So we're not limiting someone else coming and talking about something that you may bring up as a topic.
What if they didn't fill out a speaker's form prior to the meeting start? Will they be allowed? If I brought up something that that they had no idea of and they later want to speak about? Will they be allowed to? I mean, that's always my concern. And believe me, Mr. Brown, I do appreciate how accessible you are to the citizens, to myself. I'm not disputing that. All I'm saying is that we should have some sort of open forum. I've often said registration outside, online, wherever. You know, it doesn't have to be here. I don't even know why a city resident has to register. They shouldn't.
But
They
you
should be able to
can.
come up, speak their name, and what section of the city they're from. Again, Frank Sorick, Wilkes Barre City, South Wilkes Barre, whatever you want to know, and then let them go on. Just like you do prior to the meeting, when you say, does anyone have any questions or concerns about pending legislation? Before a motion for adjournment, does anyone else care to address this council? If someone raises their hand, let them. It's that simple.
And when you talked about public discussion, it was very interesting a little while ago when there was a lot of conversation about the easement for the Jewel Corps project. And there were a lot of questions that were brought up at that session, that pending legislation session. And they were good questions. There were good questions brought up by people like yourself that were sitting right there, and there were good answers. There was a lot of discussion, a lot of dialogue went back and forth, and that's productive dialogue, and that's what we're trying to do. Non-productive dialogue, such as name-calling, screaming and yelling, and that type of stuff, calling people names, that's
I couldn't
non-productive.
agree.
Non-productive, it doesn't accomplish anything, but when we sit together in a room and we have somebody here that can give us the answers that we want, so we can make educated and correct decisions properly, that's what we want to do, and that's what we're trying to do. I don't enjoy telling people they're out of work, believe me. I don't need that, no one else here needs that. But we also have a charge that we have to provide safe, orderly, and productive meetings, and that's what we're trying to do. These rules are not meant to stifle you or anyone else. Actually, I think we give a whole lot of latitude in a lot of cases, much more than the rules say, because if we're accomplishing things, we want to keep that going. That's why Mr. Brown suggested that that amendment be added there. So if we are making progress, or there are some unaddressed issues that are on the floor at that particular time, that we do have the ability to continue that dialogue. But I will not sit here and allow the type of behavior and conduct, whether it's from me or anyone else here. We're not going to have that. We're not going to have that type of, my charge as chairman is to ensure that these meetings are orderly and productive. And I will do just that.
I wish you would have.
I appreciate the way, as Matt, we may not always agree, and sometimes we have some differences, but when we can have dialogue going back and forth that is productive, the city benefits, all of us benefit by that. Don't forget, we're all city residents as well. And I know you haven't forgotten that, but sometimes we have to just remind ourselves that we are all in this together. And if we can work together, it's where we can stand.
On that, we do agree, Bill.